Look down at your legs. Do you see a blue, purple, or twisted vein rising beneath the skin? It may seem harmless. Maybe it looks like nothing more than a sign of aging. Or perhaps your skin is simply thin enough to make the vein more visible. But sometimes, what you are seeing is the result of a silent battle against gravity. Every day, the blood inside your legs must perform a task that seems almost impossible. It has to travel from your feet all the way back to your heart. It must move upward against gravity without a second heart below your knees to push it. So why does your blood not constantly fall back toward your feet? The secret lies inside your veins. Tiny valves act like hundreds of one-way doors. Blood is allowed to move upward, but it is not supposed to move back down. When these doors can no longer close properly, blood begins to collect. Pressure rises. The vein walls stretch, and a small visible vein can slowly turn into a thick, twisted cord beneath the skin. The important warning is not always the vein itself. It is what appears around it. Heavy legs at the end of the day. Swollen ankles. Itching. Burning. A dull ache. Or skin that gradually changes color. These may be signs that the system carrying blood back to your heart is no longer working efficiently. And in the next few minutes, we are going inside that system to see exactly what happens when the valves in your veins begin to fail. Subscribe to the channel because some of the most important machines are not found inside factories. They are operating inside your body right now. First, we need to destroy a common misunderstanding. Being able to see your veins does not automatically mean your veins are weak. In people with light skin, low body fat, thin skin, or well-developed muscles, some veins may simply be easier to see. They can still be functioning normally. The color alone does not tell the full story. You also need to look at the shape and the symptoms around it. Small red, blue, or purple vessels that form web-like patterns are often called spider veins. Larger veins that bulge, twist, and rise above the skin are commonly called varicose veins. But appearance alone still cannot reveal how well the deeper system is working. The body is not a control panel where one warning light always means one specific failure. Leg pain can come from muscles, joints, nerves, or blood vessels. Leg swelling can also have many different causes. So do not look at one visible vein and immediately decide that your venous valves are damaged. A more useful clue is a pattern that repeats. Your legs may feel relatively light in the morning, but after hours of sitting or standing, they may become heavier, tighter, or more swollen. The symptoms may become worse near the end of the day. They may improve when you raise your legs. That pattern suggests that gravity is gaining an advantage when blood is not being returned efficiently. Imagine a vein as a soft, flexible tube. If fluid continues to collect inside it, pressure pushes outward against the wall. The tube begins to widen. As it becomes wider, the two valve flaps that once met perfectly may no longer touch. The gap becomes larger. More blood leaks backward. And that backward flow creates even more pressure. This is a destructive feedback loop. Weak valves cause blood to pool. Pooling blood stretches the vein. The stretched vein makes it even harder for the valves to close. It is like a door inside a warped frame. The more the frame bends, the less likely the door is to shut properly. During a normal day, do you spend more time sitting or standing? Type 1 if you sit more. Type 2 if you stand more. Why does sitting or standing for long periods matter? Because your veins do not work alone. Every time you walk, the muscles in your lower legs contract. They squeeze the deep veins and push blood upward. Your calf muscles act like a second pump. But when your legs remain still for hours, that pump is almost switched off. This is why it is too simple to say that visible veins are only caused by aging. Age can contribute, but it is not the only factor. Family history, pregnancy, previous blood clots, damaged valves, and long periods of standing may all affect the venous system. And here is the most dangerous illusion. Many people only pay attention when the veins become large and twisted. But the more important information may appear earlier. A heavy feeling, swelling near the ankles, itching, skin irritation, or gradual changes in skin color. The visible vein may only be the surface of a much deeper problem. To understand what is really happening, we need to take the entire system apart. There are several major groups of veins inside the leg. Near the surface are the superficial veins. Deeper between the muscles are the deep veins, which carry most of the blood back toward the heart. Connecting them are smaller vessels that act like roads linking local streets to major highways. Arteries and veins do not perform the same job. Arteries carry blood away from the heart under relatively high pressure. Veins return blood to the heart under lower pressure. If arteries are like supply pipes powered by a strong pump, veins are more like a return system that depends on valves, muscle movement, and changes in pressure when you breathe. Inside each vein are thin flaps of tissue. When blood moves upward, the flaps open. When blood begins to fall backward, they press together and close. Imagine passing a bucket of water up a long staircase. At every step, someone catches the bucket and prevents it from falling back down. Each venous valve performs a similar job. Now take a single step. Your foot touches the ground. Your calf muscles tighten. Pressure from the muscles squeezes the deep veins. A column of blood is pushed upward. The valve above opens. The valve below closes. When the muscles relax, the vein fills again from smaller branches. This cycle repeats with every step you take. The calf pump does not move blood from the foot to the heart in one powerful burst. It moves it upward in stages. It is like an elevator stopping at many floors. But if one safety door fails to lock, the elevator can slide backward after every attempt to move up. When a valve is damaged, or when a vein stretches so much that the valve flaps can no longer meet, blood begins to move in the wrong direction. This is called venous reflux. In simple terms, a one-way road has accidentally become a two-way road. Blood still moves upward, but part of it falls back down. The lowest part of the system suffers the most. The closer you get to the ankle, the longer the column of blood above it becomes. When the valves work properly, that long column is divided into smaller sections. When several valves fail, pressure from a much longer column can be transmitted downward. That is one reason symptoms often appear around the lower leg and ankle. High venous pressure does more than make veins bulge. It also affects the movement of fluid through tiny blood vessels. More fluid is pushed into the surrounding tissue than the body can remove. The ankle begins to swell. Your socks leave a deep mark. Shoes that fit comfortably in the morning may feel tight by evening. Have you ever removed your socks at the end of the day and seen a deep ring around your ankle? Type yes or no. If swelling and pressure continue, the skin may also begin to change. It can become itchy, dry, irritated, or darker. Imagine a field that is repeatedly flooded. One brief flood may not cause lasting damage. But when the soil remains waterlogged again and again, the entire environment begins to change. In more advanced venous disease, long-term pressure and inflammation can cause brown discoloration, irritated skin, and hardening of the tissue beneath the surface. At that point, the problem is no longer purely cosmetic. The skin is displaying the effects of a deeper mechanical failure. Standing for long periods allows gravity to keep pulling blood downward. Sitting for long periods reduces the activity of the calf pump. These situations are different, but they can create a similar result. Blood returns more slowly, and the lower legs remain under pressure for longer periods. This is also why walking and raising the legs can make some people feel better. Walking activates the calf pump. Raising the legs reduces the distance that blood must travel against gravity. But temporary relief does not mean the valves have repaired themselves. Compression stockings can apply pressure from the outside. They may help limit the expansion of the veins and reduce pooling in some people. Think of them as an external support frame wrapped around a soft tube. However, the correct type and pressure level should be chosen with medical guidance, especially for people who may also have arterial problems or other conditions affecting the legs. But a failing valve is only the beginning. Next comes the moment when pressure can become real tissue damage. Subscribe now, because this is the dividing line between a sign that is easy to ignore and a chain of consequences that should not be dismissed. How can a doctor know whether blood is flowing backward? One important tool is a duplex ultrasound. Think of it as a radar system that uses sound. It can show the structure of the veins while also measuring the direction and speed of blood flow. It may reveal reflux or a blockage that cannot be seen from the outside. This is extremely important. The size of a visible vein does not always reveal the condition of the deeper system. One person may have many visible veins but very few symptoms. Another person may have no large bulging veins, yet still experience heaviness, swelling, or skin changes. That is why an evaluation begins with both the story and the physical signs. When do the symptoms appear? Are they in one leg or both? Do they become worse after standing? Is there a history of blood clots? Has the skin changed color? Is there a wound that is not healing? A physical examination and ultrasound can help connect all the pieces. A symptom is not the same thing as a diagnosis. A visible vein, swelling, or pain is only raw information. A diagnosis comes after other causes have been considered and the exact part of the system has been identified. Treatment depends on the symptoms, the cause, and the severity. Some people may be advised to stay active, avoid long periods without movement, raise their legs, or use appropriate compression. Others may need a procedure that closes or treats the damaged veins so blood can move through healthier pathways. The goal is not simply to make the vein disappear. The goal is to reduce symptoms and lower the risk of complications. Now let us push the system to the extreme. What happens when this pressure does not disappear after one afternoon, but continues for thousands of days? Not every case of varicose veins becomes severe. But when chronic venous disease progresses, it can move from mild discomfort to real changes in the tissue. Imagine your leg as a city. The veins are the drainage system. A weak valve is like a floodgate that no longer closes. At first, there are only a few small puddles after rush hour. But when backward flow continues, the lowest parts of the city are flooded again and again. The early signs may be heaviness, aching, tightness, or swelling. Later, the skin may become itchy, discolored, or sensitive. When the tissue remains swollen and inflamed for long periods, the skin becomes less able to protect and repair itself. In advanced cases, some people may develop venous ulcers, usually near the lower leg or ankle. These wounds need medical assessment and treatment. They should not simply be covered and ignored. But this is where we must avoid another mistake. Not every swollen leg is caused by weak veins. And not every painful leg is caused by varicose veins. Self-diagnosis can make someone overlook another condition that may need urgent treatment. If one leg suddenly becomes swollen, painful, warm, or red, especially when the change happens quickly, seek urgent medical care. It could be a sign of a blood clot in a deep vein. Do not massage the area aggressively. Do not simply wait for it to disappear. If leg swelling or pain appears together with shortness of breath, chest pain, fainting, severe dizziness, or coughing up blood, treat it as an emergency. Call your local emergency number immediately. These symptoms may be connected to a blood clot that has traveled to the lungs or another serious condition. Which of these do you notice most often? Type 1 for heavy legs. Type 2 for swollen ankles. Type 0 if you have never noticed either. This is only an audience poll, not a diagnostic test. The most useful response is not panic. It is careful observation. Does the problem affect one leg or both? Did it appear suddenly or gradually? Is it worse at the end of the day? Does it improve when you raise your legs? Has the skin changed color? Is there itching, bleeding, or a wound that is slow to heal? These details can make a medical evaluation much more accurate. For many people, regular movement, changing position frequently, and raising the legs while resting may support blood flow and reduce discomfort. But these habits should not replace medical evaluation when symptoms continue, become worse, or interfere with daily life. The real danger is not that a visible vein looks unattractive. The danger is assuming that it belongs only to the surface. The skin is only the display screen. The real system is hidden underneath, where hundreds of tiny valves fight gravity every second that you remain upright. And here is the most surprising truth. Varicose veins are not only a story about weak blood vessels. They are also part of the mechanical price humans pay for walking on two legs. We raised our brains higher above the ground. We freed our hands. We learned to see the world while standing upright. But in return, our circulatory system had to find a way to lift blood from the lowest part of the body back toward the heart. The body solved this problem without using one enormous engine. Instead, it created a network of small coordinated systems. Thin valves, calf muscles, breathing movements, and the motion of every step. It is like a transport system spread throughout the body, where each step becomes another pumping cycle. But modern life has changed the conditions under which this system operates. The body contains a pump powered by movement. Yet many of us now spend hours almost completely still. A chair does not automatically damage your veins, but a system designed for motion receives less support when the legs rarely contract. So a visible vein may be completely normal, or it may be a sign that the body's anti-gravity system is under strain. Its meaning does not come from its blue or purple color alone. It comes from the entire story. Its shape, the sensations around it, the time of day when symptoms appear, and the changes taking place in the surrounding skin. If you just realized that every step is also a small blood-pumping action, subscribe to the channel. There are many more biological machines inside you that seem silent, but keep you alive every second. The next time you notice a visible vein on your leg, do not panic. But do not automatically ignore it either. Remember that it is part of a system lifting blood upward against gravity, one step at a time. But if venous valves are one-way doors, what happens when a blood clot suddenly blocks the entire tunnel? The answer is in the next video on your screen.